Diddy forced me to make a sacrifice when I went to his birthday party. Since then, I stopped meeting Diddy. Diddy, Jay-Z, and Tyler Perry are all in this together, and they are the worst people.
T.D. Jakes was hanging out at a rapper and twerking party. What? That Puff Daddy held. He's sitting right there, OTD Snake.
2 more people have recently come forward with allegations that have the potential to completely change the perception of one of the most well-known pastors in America. Based on his sermons, best-selling books, and Hollywood connections, Bishop T.D. Jakes has spent decades creating a media empire. However, his name is suddenly appearing in unexpected places, at the center of accusations and wild party reports connected to Diddy himself. T.D. Jakes has long advocated morality, family values, and righteousness. Yet critics claim that something didn't feel quite right behind the pulpit. The mask may finally be coming off now that a former mentee has accused him of grooming. A scandal involving his son has leaked, and online detectives are investigating his alleged attendance at some unsettling events. What is actually happening with T.D. Jakes? Is this the start of a much larger storm, or just hateful backlash? Let's dissect it.
The Lord said that Bishop T.D. Jakes will have one of the biggest scandals of all time in the Christian church, one of the biggest shaming falls before God finally judges him.
World-renowned Dallas pastor T.D. Jakes is named in a federal lawsuit against musician Sean Diddy Combs.
It's filed by a producer that worked with Combs. It discusses how the singer planned to leverage his relationship with the bishop.
With Diddy, he was using T.D. Jakes to fix his image. You believe that?
Well, we saw that to be true anyway. That's what he was trying to do all that time.
Asterisk T.D. Jakes is not your average preacher with a church on the corner. Let's be clear. He's a media tycoon who holds a movie script in one hand and a Bible in the other. This man moves like a spiritual CEO. He started from scratch when constructing the Potter's House in Dallas, and it's a full-fledged production, not just a church. We're talking about weekly broadcasts, conferences with celebrities in the front row, thousands of members, and a sermon delivery that could compete with any TED Talk. For years, Jakes has maintained a close relationship with Hollywood. According to Oprah herself, Bishop Jakes is a spiritual warrior, and as we all know, you're gold when Oprah gives you her endorsement. He frequently appears on television as well, from full interviews on The Oprah Winfrey Show to cameos on Dr. Phil reaching millions through the media. In 2016, he even hosted the T.D. Jakes Show, a daytime talk show that ran for a season. He covered a wide range of topics, including forgiveness, celebrity rumors, and blended families. It wasn't your usual preaching hour. One moment he was joking with Tyrese, and the next, counseling a single mother. Think Dr. Phil, but with more scripture and nicer suits. Now people raise their eyebrows when someone this well-dressed is brought up in the same sentence as Diddy in a rumored party scene. Because T.D. Jakes isn't just lecturing, he is the choir. One of his famous quotes, if you can't figure out your purpose, figure out your passion. Another, destiny is not for the comfort zone. This is the man who sells out arenas for sermons. So how does that ambience mesh with Bad Boy's notorious nightlife bottle service and backup dancers? It gets messy at that point. Several internet critics claim that Jakes wasn't always only preaching and praying. For years, there have been rumors that he used to attend some of the more seductive industry events that Sean Diddy combs through.
Jakes used to come to my parties. T.D. Jakes also gave me young boys from church for sacrifice.
Sean Diddy Combs' and racketeering trial is dominating headlines right now.
Developing story that we're following now, Bishop T.D. Jakes, the leader of Dallas megachurch, the Potter's House, announced today that he will be stepping down.
How you feel about these rumors surrounding, Diddy and T.D. Jakes?
Man, what I think about it is this, when I grew up in the church, the sinners was not supposed to have the same atmosphere with the saints. You have to be able to separate the two. So I'm looking at him as a saint going to a party that ain't nothing but sin, drinking, maybe fornication.
Now, we also know that T.D. Jakes is allegedly also a power bottom, and he's a much older man. And they say he's very enthusiastic in his endeavors. What happens when he pops something loose? You know what I'm saying?
It's funny because they're mentioning workers, but they're mentioning They're not mentioning women. They're mentioning men as workers.
Yeah.
Like is that a thing where like there's a website or what? It's just wild to hear like mention.
You never heard of Grindr?
Asterisk these days. Numerous lawsuits and internet exposes are tearing apart the very same party scenes. According to some, Jakes was merely attempting to shine a light in a dimly lit space. Others believe he might have felt a bit too at ease under that shadow. Although there isn't any concrete proof that Jakes engaged in dubious activities, his presence in such circles has sparked suspicions, especially in light of Diddy's current legal troubles. Sometimes your associations will mess up your assignment. Jakes once remarked in a sermon that, quote, now feels ironic, given the present discussion. Ultimately, TD Jakes built his reputation on spiritual leadership, empowerment, and breaking generational curses, not on lavish parties featuring surveillance-proof phones and champagne fountains. The internet, however, never forgets. People are now wondering, was the bishop simply using networking as a form of outreach, or did he stand too close to the flames? In any case, the focus is shifting, and the association with Diddy's party scene isn't just unexpected, it's downright perplexing for someone who has always so meticulously maintained his public image.
So I want to get right into it, man. How you feel about these rumors surrounding, Diddy and TD Jakes?
Man, what I think about it is this, when I grew up in the church, the sinners was not supposed to have the same atmosphere with the saints. You have to be able to separate the two. So I'm looking at him as a saint going to a party that ain't nothing but sin, drinking, maybe fornication, man on man, woman on woman, he on she. But maybe he there to lay some hands on somebody. Maybe he there to save some souls. I know he got a contract with Revolt, so I'm just like, it's just real strange that he would be found at any kind of Diddy party or any kind of place with Diddy unless it's in a business atmosphere. So now what he's doing is he's making, he's making the Christians look real bad right about now.
And you've been to these parties, right?
Oh yeah, I was there when he was doing the white parties in the Hamptons and the whole 9 yards. So I know what goes on at the parties. If, they probably got a little bit more freakier, as time went on, because they got to the point whereas that they didn't even care. It used to be secretly, where people used to go to, separate rooms and different rooms, and they wasn't doing that out in the public, but now they don't care. Men kissing men and all this other shit. That's just crazy.
So why do you think he was going to these parties?
I think that he's going to the Diddy parties, bruh. If he's going, we know he's going to the Diddy parties, and I know that it's, I know what usually happens at the Diddy party, or what we told this happened at the Diddy parties. Maybe he need to see it for himself, man. Maybe he need to go there and really be involved in some things that could help save some individuals while they going to those parties. Or maybe he just going to, man, it's hard to even talk about why would you find a religious man, when you know that the saints supposed to separate themselves from the sinners, and why would a religious man like himself be at a party which ain't nothing but sin that's going on, bro? Whether it's drinking, maybe fornicating, maybe, like I said, men on men, women on women. It's hard to put in perspective unless he's involving himself what is actually going on at the parties. It's hard, brother. you can't, I really don't know why, as a spiritual advisor to him, that they buddy while he got a party with him like that and be at his parties. It's got to be, maybe it's something more that meets the eye.